Now this has tickled my brain. Hey up everyone, welcome to one of SMG4's community posts on YouTube, not Twitter, because the YouTube post has something the Twitter post doesn't. So, this is SMG4's normal thank you for the arc and for watching the arc and all that. Saying it was a weird and unique creative experience for us. The team had lots of fun making it, which I'll admit, it was pretty unique in terms of our arcs. I like how they tried something different for it. Instead of going for the usual arc format they normally go for, they're doing something different. And they said they want to do more experimental things, like the Mario Simulator thing that they recently remastered, so they might do more of that. Or like other things. But the main line here, Mr. Puzzles was a great character to make. And who knows, we might see him again if you guys want more. I think we all know where this one's going. So, that's quite the interesting line, and I've been cooking up this theory, which I may as well unleash to you now, is that my theory is that Mr. Puzzles is not dead. I don't think he's dead. You know, sure, that hit with the meat mallet was big, but I don't think it was big enough. Because we still have so much unexplained shit from this guy. First off, where did his powers come from? How the hell did he survive decapitating himself and replacing it with a TV head? And what's with Clench? What's with the door? What's with Peach? What's with all the questions that the saga hasn't answered but has given us? So, they've not really said that the saga's over. Sure, SMG4 said one time in his comment section of the movie, saying that the saga was pretty wild to go through and finish and all that, saying that the thing's over, but he's not really said that. He only said that once, and he hasn't said that anywhere else. And this question of saying that we might see him again and asking if we want more is basically the confirmation, yeah, this bitch is coming back. Which, you know, this is sort of doing what Genesis Arc did, because when Genesis Arc ended, we all knew that, well, first off, we all knew that Axel was dead, and everyone believed that Zero died, because it just makes sense. There was no cliffhanger of, like, the two souls of Zero and Niles flying around each other and then splitting off, like what happened in Revelations, or an eye was, like, closed and squished, but then it opened up and started moving around. There was no cliffhanger like that for Genesis to show that it was not over. This is doing the same thing as Genesis, where we saw SMG4 thwack Mr. Puzzle's head into the oblivion, basically to Brazil if you want to, and then, you know, that was it. This was one of the few times a villain dies without proper confirmation, because we didn't see like the TV head blow up or set to flames or a proper death line from Puzzles. All we saw is it got thwacked to oblivion. So that wasn't really proper confirmation of his death. For all we know, that guy could have survived that crash and we wouldn't know. So, yeah. Because like the ending to the movie was great. I'll say now, once I get my review fully done and dusted and say that, yeah, it was pretty good, but the ending just did not feel climactic enough. It didn't feel like a final. It just felt, if it was the proper finale of Mr. Puzzles, it would have fell flat. But it didn't. Well, it did kind of feel anticlimactic, but there might be a reason for that, and that reason could be that the fucker's not dead. Right then, now that I've gotten off my chest of the fact that saying that Mr. Puzzles is probably not dead, let's go back a bit. Let's more or less just go over, you know, all the questions that this arc has brought us. Let's first go over to where did Mr. Puzzles' power come from? Because we have seen that this guy has quite the amount of power on him. He has the control over the malice. Yeah, he has the control over the malice, which is the red goopy stuff from It's Gotta Be Perfect and Let's Visit Peach. Then there's the simulation power, how his head is one giant simulation. His just powers overall, those electric beams that he can shoot that he almost killed the SMG4 cast with. Growing power, his power seemingly based on how many stars his show gets. And just overall, how the hell did he manage to sever his own head and replace it with a TV without dying? That last bit will be too hard to answer, but here, these questions I feel like need to get discussed, because what could have possibly have given them? Now, I'm not going to say it's probably the God Box, because the God Box at this point is very, very dead. Right? It's completely destroyed. I don't think he would have had any relations to it, even though his face does sort of relate to it. If you look at the God Box and Mr. Puzzles' face, it does sort of make sense, but it only makes sense for this facial expression. The rest don't work at all, really. So I don't think there's any relation to the God Box, and people like No Null have also debunked that with many other ways, so I'm not going to go into that can of worms. But what I will go into as well is just where else would he possibly have gotten his power? I believe it's probably that he's gotten power from some other ancient, maybe an ancient power, or like a super technology, or maybe even meme energy. Maybe he's taken some of it. But then again, I don't think they want to go over with cosmology lore, since not everyone is going to be in line or up to date with that lore. So I think that this is something completely different, right? So, yeah, I'm not really sure. We'll just have to wait if he does end up coming back with him explaining the power at all, because I think he does, because his entire origin story was explained in 30 minutes of creative control, which, brilliant song, by the way. I've even done an instrumental on that, so if you want to watch that, you can. But yeah, I just don't think there's anything to do with the cosmology lore or anything like that. And I just repeated what I said, haven't I? Oh, god damn it. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think you can explain an entire origin story with a jazzy song. I think he needs more than that, doesn't he? So, moving on from that question, we're gonna go over with what's with Peach? What's with her? She's not dead. She's definitely not dead. Because, well, the malice kept her alive. In fact, it took control of her, made her into a giant monstrous beast who beat the shit out of everyone and kidnapped Meggy. And all of that, but all the bombs that SMG3 and Mario threw at her didn't kill her, because she ran away and hid away somewhere. And all that malice in Peach's castle, it's still there. I mean, it did look to be hardened and weakened, because it didn't seem to do anything to the cast other than Peach. So, and that fight was a whole boss fight because of the title, the Legend of Zelda title card that she had. So she's definitely a major thing in this, and a major question of what's happened to her. But some people have speculated that Peach ended up, not Peach, when SMG4 fired Puzzles into Oblivion, some people say that he landed in the pit where Peach's castle used to be. And so maybe that will unleash some kind of Eldritch form of him. Maybe. I've had a few, ideas of him being some kind of Eldritch robotic calamity-looking thing. But, obviously none of that turned out the way it did. It was before even his character was even revealed, and that's quite outdated now. But I thought of that because of the Red Malice. I mean, you can't blame me for that, can you? So that's what people were thinking. He's ended up in the giant pit, which is very likely. He was hit pretty far. So it could... And besides, his entire body went inside of his head, which is something Mr. Puzzles can do without dying, so maybe he did that to hide himself or something. And besides, I don't think they're gonna have a villain like this end up being a massive crybaby. I don't think they're gonna do that to this guy. Oh dear. So that's where I feel like that's gonna go with Princess Peach. She's gonna return for possibly the next part of the saga. If the saga's over, that is. If they don't decide to do another saga that's more different but still has puzzles in it. So, our next thing on the list is the Forbidden Door. The door. The fucking door. Now, I believe this was a room of Mr. Puzzles' because since the Showgrounds is related to Mr. Puzzles in a lot of ways, you know. Because, well, not only was the symbol on the Showgrounds when SMG4 was buying the ground, but yeah, just also just the fact that Mr. Puzzles has been all over the Showgrounds a lot. He is definitely linked to it in some way, and I feel like he's also linked to the bloody block door. Which comes to one thing I'll say about what I believe will be in the block door. And it'll be a secret room. Well, of course it's a secret room. It'll be filled with everything that Mr. Puzzles has used. Such as the keyboard, the simulation tech, I guess hacking tools and that from Watfy. And of course, TVs. A lot of them. And then one more. Clench. Or at least a container for Clench. And so, this will be revealed to where Clench is linked to Puzzles, or was made by Puzzles, and his true purpose was something evil. Now you may be wondering, why though? Why do you think Clench is evil? Well, first off, he appeared out of fucking nowhere. You know, he just appeared out of the damn blue. Like, there was no build up to him. He just appeared in the controversial episode. And I'm not going to go into that voice acting situation that has been talked to 1,000 times to death. Even though it's still an ongoing situation, technically, and it is quite sad. But we're not going to start going on about that, but yeah, so Clench just appeared out of the blue, and he also has a fully fledged voice actor. When a character has fully fledged voice acting, it means big shit. It means that they are major to Summit, very major. And during the No TV episode, in the No TV episode, Clench, when SMG4 and SMG3 and Bob as well came into the storage room, what did Clench do? He powered down. Now, that wasn't just a coincidence where he just so happened to power down accidentally or just because of no power or anything like that. He gasped in like a, oh shit, they're gonna find me, and then powered down. That is suspicious as fuck. Which is why everyone's thinking he's hiding something. Because he intentionally is hiding from SMG4 and 3. And not Bob, because he's shown himself to Bob. He's shown himself to Mario, Bob, Meggy, and then obviously Tari. But SMG4 and 3, he hid from them. The SMGs specifically, that is odd, because maybe it might be because since this whole thing was show-based, this could be that he's specifically hiding from SMG4, and probably SMG3 as well, because they're both meme guardians. But reason for SMG4? Well, it's because he's the showrunner. And since Mr. Puzzles' whole reason for going after the SMG4 crew was because of how stupid SMG4 is in terms of his eyes, which does make sense for practically any producer out there other than Luke himself. And other indie creators, I guess. So, So his whole idea was that if he can make SMG4 good, then he can do anything, can he? Which makes sense. SMG4 hasn't really been seen as it's not really seen as a proper full-on show, is it? As a professional one. So if Mr. Puzzles could make it like that, then he can surely do anything, can't he? If he can certainly turn a show into that, which obviously failed very badly, but he had a point, didn't he? And so I believe that Clinch is definitely related to Puzzles, given that he was introduced in this saga. And, he doesn't appear often, but when he does, he also tends to roast everyone, which could be an evil attribute with him. Roasting absolutely everyone, giving people emotional damage, if you will. Maybe that'll be an upgrade. He goes from roasting people to just giving them just traumatizing them, I guess. Which trauma is a big ingredient in SMG4. And so, is that my last point? Yeah, I think that is my last point. Now, going back to the whole Mr. Puzzles possibly coming back, which, let's be honest, this is kind of confirming it, let's be honest. And just going over the comments here. Yeah, everyone is saying that he needs to come back. And then, another thing, his voice actor, Brendan, did so good at it. He was so good at Mr. Puzzles' role. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was art. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. Returning him equals more Brendan, which I think this series needs more, and also it allows us to answer more questions of the saga, that while also giving it a proper cinematic ending, which is a good thing. Speaking of the ending of the movie, look at this. This is when Maggie just blasted him with, Inkling gun. I've forgotten the name, but whatever it is, this is a new facial expression. One we've never seen before, up until this point. Sure, it is quite similar to the disappointed face, but it's still a new face. We've never seen this one before. At all. And it only appears when he seems to get hit by the screen, which could indicate that he's going to return. Because why give him a whole new face for just a little part of the film, a little part of the saga, a little tittle bit? So, once again, more facial expressions introduced until the very, very ending. It just feels like something that, allows him to come back or something. He's seemingly very powerful. So, it makes sense for him to return with this, with the effort they put into this. And if we go to, when SMG4, hit him, going back to this epic moment, which they made this so brilliantly animated, if for no reason at all, but to make it really cool. This is like a whole cinematic here. When SMG4 hit it with the meat mallet, look, it didn't explode at all. So, it's not like it's broken. Well, it's definitely broken, but definitely yeeted across the... Shut up, notifications. So, he was into oblivion he went, but he didn't get fully destroyed, and we never see him get fully destroyed, which is... I know they can't really show characters dying, really. With Francis... Ren, Axel, they didn't really want to show that because it would be very morbid and probably get them demonetized and blacklisted and probably age restricted and probably then just deleted outright from YouTube. But, but this one seems very indirect because it gives you the question, is he really dead? Well, everyone else, and also Destiny, obviously, you knew they're dead. It just showed them outright that they were dead. You knew that they're fucked. They're straight up just gone. Puzzles? No. It's a mystery. It's a question, is he dead? So, it's just more evidence piling on that he's blooming dead. Alright? So, yeah. I'm believing this bastard is alive. And he's gonna return. When is he gonna return? I don't know. Maybe we're gonna pull a Western spaghetti on us and in August or something. Or something. July and August. New arc. Mr. Puzzles is back, bitches. Because people are thinking Wattfee 2024. Which, I guess, I understand. Yeah. But, frankly honest, I don't want it to be a Wattfee. Because Wattfees just don't work with arcs. Many people have said that Wattfees just don't work when it comes to serious arcs. They work with other arcs. I'd say that the Waluigi arc was cool because it was a new twist. The YouTube arc was semi-fine because the YouTube arc didn't take itself fully seriously until it did. With, the whole thing. But overall, the thing could have worked if they made the YouTube arc a bit more lighthearted. But it kind of was. Wattfee 2023, I think, definitely worked. Alright. The Notebook arc, it definitely worked with Wattfee because the whole premise of the Notebook arc was Mario stole SMG3's notebook. And in that Wattfee, there was nothing dark with it. And given the way it was done, it was different, it was changed, and, it fit. So I think Wattfee 2023, the way they did it with that, worked. It worked really well. Because it was a unique idea, it was a really good idea, and overall the arc in a vacuum was really cool, not including its connections to, the entire Puzzle Vision saga as a whole. So, it made sense with that. So, with everything, I don't believe it's going to be Wattfee 2024. I believe it's going to be another movie, because they need to make this as cinematic as possible, can't they? Shouldn't they? It made sense. Sure, we'd probably, Wattfee 2024 equals another song, which, hell yes, but we'll always get a song with Wattfees anyway. So, I want this to end in the movie. The saga fully. Mr. Puzzles, if we're going to kill him off at some point, or get fully defeated, then have it do it in a movie, because it's the best. It's best to do it in a movie. And also, this movie's not as long as Western Spaghetti, which I was expecting, since this was the full finale of the supposed finale of the Puzzle Vision saga. Because Western Spaghetti was 52 minutes long. This one's 10 minutes less, literally. So yeah, it's one of the shorter movies in SMG4 history. The other two short ones were It's Gotta Be Perfect and the 10-year anniversary. So I just believe that this ain't the ending. This is possibly, this is possibly going to continue. But alas, I've been going on for 23 minutes now. I'm going to end this off here. This has been SMG4's posts, I guess. And, yeah, and this has been my big Mr. Puzzles is not dead theory. And I'll see you all later. Goodbye. Well, would you look at that, mister? Look, so, yeah, I probably could have worded my last tweet about SMG4 Puzzle Vision a bit better. Saying the whole saga was over was a misstep on my part, so I apologize if people in the community were getting the wrong idea. But folks, taking my dumb word as God is just meh. How about that? I think I am right. That this saga isn't fucking over. Yeah!